Miracle serums. Miracle serums.
We keep having all these problems. How we gonna solve them? Every day it's the same thing. All these unsolved issues, I guess it's official. Here we go again, the same old thing. And I'm tired of arguing and lying. So goodbye.
Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is August the 20th, 2024, and today the topic is God's sovereignty. Happy Tuesday. Yes, happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope you guys had a wonderful Monday. Mine was just fine. Yes, mine was good overall. Highlights from yesterday was we knocked out NJ's class or assignments after I did the juice yesterday. And yeah, ended up going to church and doing my thing there. Also was trying to prep for night of worship. So I know there's over 90 balloons of some pop. Over 90 balloons already blown. I think we got 100 more to make, but yeah. Hopefully it all comes together and the kids enjoy night of worship and everything like that. And I'll do my best to try to think of more unique and creative experiences and ways for the next one. But yeah, I'm excited about this one. So prayerfully it all goes well. Y'all may notice your girl's outside. I'm in my backyard. Right here next to me is the she shed that I used to be in. Way back in the day, but it's become more of a storage shed now. And then two, I'm out here because NJ is in his live lesson and they're a little bit loud and whatnot. So I was like, let me just come out here and have a little bit of peace and quiet for y'all in the background and everything like that. But yeah, man, it's been a good morning. I mean, obviously it's like almost noon right now, and I've been up for a while. I think I woke up around 6 something. Well, I can't remember what time it was now. Um, and I made a note of that and I looked into that as I usually do. But this morning I just pretty much felt led to just kind of focus on basically my observations. So one, I woke up this morning to a dream, and there were several pieces of the dream, and so I was glad to get a dream because, like I said yesterday, I didn't necessarily have one. I was like, Lord, you don't want to talk to me no more. No, but so yeah, I woke up with a dream and I was trying to interpret it or get an understanding about it. And then at some point I just was so thankful, man. I just woke up with a lot of gratitude this morning. And I was just, thanking God for everything. I was listening to the prayer meditation and that's when my son came in. And so I listened to like the last half of it with him. And I just prayed and was thanking God for, life and just everything that God has done. Because yeah, I guess this morning when I was thinking about the dream and I was thinking about some other stuff, I feel like there was something else that I was looking into. Oh, I just pretty much started working. That was another thing too, because somebody had sent me their book information. They want me to help them make another book or whatever the case may be. So it's God be the glory for multiple streams of income, right, and ways to bring in funds for our household, but then also yes to be helping other people achieve their goals and things like that. And so I was working on that, my part of that and communicating with the team. And then I also was thinking about some other ways to kind of, keep things going and flowing here on GSL. So I was like reaching out to my virtual assistant about that stuff. And then after that, then that's when I kind of started to settle my mind down and started to listen to the prayer meditation, which today's prayer meditation was called The God Who Created the Solar Systems and ecosystems also created you. So I was like, that's good to think about. And so once I started to listen to that, like I said, that's when NJ came in and we listened to the last half and we prayed together and things like that. And yeah, I just really had this moment of just being thankful, right? Just being thankful again for where I am, what God is doing with me, for me, and through me, being able to be my son's learning coach, and just all this amazing stuff that's happening in our life that I just was thanking God for this morning. And so, I thought maybe the juice would be about that in some ways because it was interesting. Like right before I was getting ready to go to bed last night, I had a lot of, it might be morbid thoughts, but like some type of thoughts in my mind, like, Lord, how can people trust you and learn to, be okay with anything that happens when a lot of your people, they get like, if we think about the disciples, we hear that majority of them, it's all probably except for one, in my understanding, died horrifically. You know what I'm saying? And there's plenty of accounts of, biblical figures that, there was some that got swept away and whatnot, like Elijah, right? But then most either they died horrifically, they had to deal with, crazy circumstances and stuff. And it's like when people are going through those type of things, like I get that how it can be difficult to trust God, right? How can it can be difficult um to think of God as good and all this stuff when it's like, man, we going through some crazy evil stuff though. Now, granted, we know that a lot of this stuff is a result of what we do to one another. Okay, it's not God, it's what people he's allowing it by giving us the free will. But aside from that, it's like, it's not him. But at the same time, too, it's like, well, Lord, you could just step in, you know what I'm saying? Or you could just, we have in our minds what we think he could do or should do. And so I was thinking about those type of things before I went to bed last night or whatever. Like, Lord, I get like I understand that again we got free will and stuff, but then at the same time I understand how it's difficult to, because again, like say for example, those of us that feel like we're in the last days, right? The Bible's very clear that Christians are going to be beheaded for, our belief and things of that nature. That's in Revelations. I don't know if y'all ain't read that or not, but I mean, I'm sorry, I got to be the one to, to say if you didn't read that before. But stuff like that is kind of like, oh, like I hope and pray that I'm strong enough to hold on to my faith and say, even if facing this guillotine or facing the axe or whatever it is, facing the Antichrist and telling me I can't buy and sell, like I just feel like us in America, it seems like we're so far removed mentally from real persecution, that other people in other countries, they're experiencing persecution already, to the magnitude of their life being on the line, right? But I don't feel like we in America are dealing with that as much. But yeah, but anyway, I just like I said, I was thinking about all these more things last night, and so this morning, waking up with gratitude, waking up with like, thankfulness and things of that nature, was great and stuff like that. But ultimately, so I started to think like, okay, well, Lord, what do you want me to talk about today? X, Y, and Z. And so, right when I was getting ready to start writing down the juice, I wrote down, the date and that today represents the 94th episode of the third season. I mean, excuse me, the 13th season of the juice. Um, like when I wrote down the date in that, the phrase, what was that phrase? In your dreams came into my heart and mind. Now on one hand, I'm like, okay, that's the theme for the series that we're doing with kids is called In Your Dreams at the church or whatever. So I was like, are we talking about that? But then at some point, the phrase life is good came into my heart and mind as well. And I was like, yeah, I was all, thinking about that gratitude, all that type of stuff. So I went to, chatholybible.com and I was like, hey, so this is the different things I'm thinking about. And, so give me the underlining message of this, right? Because I'm thinking about this, that, and the other. And I feel like it all comes together, but maybe I'm confused about the way. So share with me what you think the way is that these things come together. And it was talking a lot about the gratitude part and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I know. Okay, so how could I encourage people to have that gratitude and stuff like that? And then as I was looking at some of the responses, it was talking about God's sovereignty, and that stood out to me. So I decided to go deeper about it. So I plugged it into openbible.info, right? I went over there to there and I plugged in the phrase God's sovereignty. And so I don't know if you guys know what the word sovereign mean. I did not write down the definition to read to you right now, but you guys can go and look that up on your own. But it pretty much means like a ruler in charge, right? And so it's like, okay, okay, God, you're the ruler in charge, And then I'm reading these verses that came up with God's sovereignty, and I'm like, it just gave me more questions. But let me go ahead and get into these verses, all right? So the first one that I felt led to write down this morning was Psalm 115 and 3. It says, our God is in the heavens. He does all that he pleases. Okay, so again, it's talking all about God's sovereignty, right? He's in control. He does what he pleases. And I'm like, okay, I got it. You do what you please, right? So then I read this next one. It's Daniel 4 and 35. It says, all the inhabitants of the earth are accounted as nothing, and he does according to his will among the lost of heaven, excuse me, among the hosts of heaven, and among the inhabitants of the earth. And none can say, or excuse me, none can stay his hand or say to him, what have you done? So with that, I'm like, okay, Lord, you in control, you do what you please, and none of us, nobody in heaven or us can question you. And then I'm like, man. So then I started thinking about this stuff I was thinking about last night again, right? It's like, well, Lord, I mean, you did all of that. Like, what is the purpose of us then? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the purpose of us even being here and all this type of stuff? And I asked chatholybible.com, and I went and asked that, like, what is the purpose then? And of course, it was talking about how God wanted to be in a relationship with us and all this different stuff. But I'm like, well, he already had spiritual beings to do that with. You know what I mean? Like, what's the purpose of us? Because again, most of us don't operate the way he wants us to, right? He gave us free will, and it's like, and we ain't doing good things with that. We're evil to one another, like, most of us. Like, can we be real about that? You know what I mean? Most of us are not. Again, all have sinned and fallen short, right? And so only a few of us is probably actually even walking in the way of the Lord. You know what I mean? So it's just like, what's the point? Like, why'd you make us, man? Like, now I got some answers. They got answered or gave me answers, and y'all can go and ask those questions as well if you want those answers. But I mean, again, I feel like it was more important to just keep talking about this thing about God being sovereign, and I guess to be grateful and have gratitude again for what that He did create us, right? I was reminded, I think at that point, as I was thinking about those things, about the soul space uh reminder that I had with prayer meditation this morning. Again, God, who created the solar system and ecosystems, created me. So he wanted me here as well, with all the other amazing things he did. So that's something to be good about. That's something to be thankful and grateful for, right? I mean, again, I'm sitting here thankful for my life. I'm thankful for, where things have come to be and stuff like that. Now, yeah, I had some down seasons or some down moments, even like last week, right? I was in my feelings or whatever the case may be. I might have some things to talk to about to the therapist about today, right? But you know, am I doing good work? Right? Am I out here? I believe I'm doing the will of God, right? And I'm out here doing my part. And so, and I also was reminded of like, for example, when I was thinking about all those individuals that those biblical figures, that they stood for God, they had the faith, and even up to death, they even gave their lives for the faith, right? I thought about Stephen, and on one hand we think like, see, okay, Stephen was stoned, right? Now we have his last vision, right? We know that, okay, he saw God and everything like that, and obviously he's there with him now and things like that. But Stephen's death led to Paul's conversion. You know what I mean? Like, so who knows what impact I'm having, right? Who knows what impact you have? So let's not think, that we're not worth, even though I know that this verse is saying that we can't question God, or we can't really, he does what he pleases and things of that nature. But can we get some encouragement and inspiration to know that, like, you are a part of that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you are a part of the things that he wanted so much, right? He thought so much of us to create us. Um, can that be encouraging and inspiring today? I hope it is. I hope it is. Well, let me give you guys some more verses that I felt led to write down. So, Exodus 4 and 11. It says, "Then the Lord said to him, who has made man's mouth? Who makes him mute or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord?" So again, it's just another thing that's reiterating God and his power and what he decided to do. And I know all of those things, like, well, why you want to make somebody deaf and blind and all those different things? But aren't those some of the most amazing people though? Let's be real. Like, can y'all think about, like, some of those people that are blind, or some of those people that have are mute or deaf, or they do amazing things. Like, I can't help but think about the young lady. I can't remember her name right now, but she does so many great work. She has this organization. She ended up getting paralyzed. What was her name? I can't remember right now. I talked about it before, and the church had someone come and that represented her organization. They were talking about us about incorporating handicapped people more into the ministry and things like that. But anyway, what's her name? I feel like it was Sarah or something. But anyway, basically she had an accident, like a swimming accident, and that left her paralyzed. But that lady was painting. She has this organization. She's, I guess, been speaking and writing books and all the amazing things that she's done in spite of the handicap, quote unquote, right? Um, deaf people, blind people, like we know of them, and we know the things and works that they're still able to do in spite of those things. And so, um, who knows, man? We don't know like what the bigger picture is. But again, would those organizations be created if the lady didn't experience the horrific things she experienced? Like, we think about Anne Frank, like people are all, reading the diary of Anne Frank and all this type of stuff. Even though she dealt with I don't know if that's the right person I'm thinking about, but am I thinking about the right person? Anne Frank, is she the one that had, maybe not, but I feel like there was somebody that had some disabilities and whatnot, but then that was, I think, both I don't know if she was blind. She might have been blind and deaf. I can't remember who that was now. If it's not Anne Frank, it was somebody else. Margaret. I don't know. Anyway, somebody I learned in school. But anywho, the point is, friends, that we don't know what the bigger picture is, right? We don't know like God's plan in it from the beginning to the end. Now, yes, He's given us clues, right? He's given us some information, some sneak peeks and stuff like that. But I mean, again, I know that for sure when it comes to me in my life, that some debacles, I'm talking about straight up situations that I was definitely not happy about, led to the beautiful things that I have in my life today. Friendships that I have. I met my husband because of one of the friendships that I had that I met through that debacle. Like all these different type of things. Like again, my son, all this amazing stuff that has happened in my life, I know came from some crazy stuff that has happened in my life. So let's not think, I know we can sit here and point finger at God and be like, well, Lord, you letting all this crazy stuff happen. You letting all this bad stuff happen. But let us humble ourselves and let's just, one, remember who's in charge. Let's remember God's sovereignty, that He's the one that's in charge of all things, and He can, created all things. He can do what He want to do, right? When you create something, you can do what you want to do with it, right? And then two, um, know that, hey man, in all my creations, I did all this amazing creating. Now I'm speaking on behalf of God at the moment, okay? Not miracle, okay? I didn't create nothing. I barely created my son, okay? Um, but God is like, I created all things, right? But in the midst of that, I wanted to create you, whoever you are listening to the sound of my voice today. I wanted to create you today in the midst of all those amazing things. So I mean, let's get a little encouraged and inspired about that. Okay. Speaking of, I'm gonna leave y'all with these last couple of verses because I think they kind of go with this. It's First John 4:16 says, so have we, excuse me, so we have come to know and to believe the love that God has for us. God is love, and whoever abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him. This is love. Not that we loved God, but God loved us and showed us love by sending his son Jesus Christ to die on the cross for our sins. Sorry about that, y'all. I guess my thing overheated, but let me try to wrap this up, okay? Let me see. What was the one of the last?
I'm gonna go ahead and read those two verses again because I'm not sure where it stopped. But so First John 4:16 says, "So we have come to know and to believe the love that God has for us. God is love, and whoever abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him." Okay, and then Revelations 3:19 says, "Those whom I love, I reprove and discipline. So be zealous and repent." So there you guys go, man. If you guys, don't know anything else, I know that got interrupted and I can't even remember what all I was saying at this point. But basically, just a reminder that again, God created you. You're beautifully and wonderfully made, and obviously, He felt like you were worth it, right? So let's not be discouraged or something like that. Just because knowing that you're not in control, right, of your life or this world or anything, it shouldn't take away from again you using your free will to do God's will and for good overall. You know what I mean? Let me go ahead and wrap this thing up because we need to go and obviously I'm gonna have to do some editing to this stuff now with all the stuff that happened. But anyway, the Bible verse of today is Joel 2:12 and 13. It says, "Therefore, also now saith the Lord, turn ye even to me with all your heart, and with fasting and with mourning, and not your heart, and not your garments." Or I think it says, "Rip your heart and not your garments, and turn to the Lord your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repenteth him of the evil." Listen, if that ain't a warning, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. Yes, God is sovereign. He can do as he please, X, Y, and Z, and he ain't playing about this. He say repent, and he done said repent twice today through me. So y'all listen, y'all go forth, have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to y'all tomorrow if the Lord's will. And yeah, man, I'm gonna let y'all go. Y'all have a great day. Bye bye.